In this video, we're going to continue with Muse. Here I have my site set up. I'm in the plan mode. I'm going to go ahead and double click on my master to get it up and loaded. All right, so here's my master using the same settings as the last video. I'm going to zoom in with the Command plus key just to kind of get a feel for it. Holding the shift bar down allows me to move around. And I'm going to go ahead and get started in creating the master page for my site. So I'm going to go up under File and down to Place or Command D. From now on in the video, when I place something, I'm just going to hit Command D because it's natural for me to do so. So I'm going to hit Place, and I'm going to go to where my site is located. Here it is. I've got various things for my website. Notice that this is an Illustrator file. The nice thing about Muse is it will place Illustrator, JPEGs, all of those types of files. We'll go ahead and place my Illustrator file. Give it a second to convert. The red wheel of death. And here we go. I can click and drag. And I'm going to take it down, I don't know. Let's go to right there. That looks good. And it's going to place into place. And I like the placement. I'm actually going to take my header bar and move up just a little bit so that I designate that area as my header. Now, the nice thing about this program is that it contains things in the widget library. And we're going to go over one in particular, Widget, Menus, Horizontal. So I'm going to click and drag this out onto my layout here. And if we notice, Overview, Client Work, Projects, About, Contact. Let's go back to here. Overview, Client Work, Projects, About, Contact. How cool is that? One of the things I like to do as soon as I get started is I'm going to right click on it. And I'm going to clear all styling. And that gets rid of all the style, and I can add my own. Okay, so this blue area here gives me a drop down. The menu type right now is just top level pages. But if I put all pages, it's going to throw in all of my drop downs and everything like that. For now, I'm just going to use the standard top level pages. You can play around with all of these, showing submenus and all of this stuff. Just to get familiar with it, I highly recommend playing with it. So once we get this menu, we can actually resize the menu by stretching it out, shrinking it down, grabbing a corner, and scaling how wide the menu is. Now notice the text did not change. Okay, so we want to click on this, and we're going to go to our text tool. And here is where we can choose our fonts and everything. So I'm going to use Verdana. I like Verdana, it works. And I'm going to go down to 11 point type. Maybe 12. So mess around with that to get it the way you want it. I'm also going to center it in that spot. See how now it looks a lot nicer and neater? With my pointer tool, I'm going to drag it up to where I want it and set it into place. So I've got all these guides that can allow me to link up and all of that stuff. Now I've got my menu where I want it. It's centered. I've dragged it into position. Let's hit the preview button and take a look at it. So this just previews it in Muse. And notice that it shows the links and everything. So that's good. All right. Well, I'm going to go back to design. So while it's cool that I now have a menu that works, the menu is kind of boring. When I roll over it, nothing happens. Well, you have a panel over here called States. If you don't have any of these panels, they're up under Window. So just make sure you look for them there. States. And normal is the way it is normally, where, nobody's clicked on it, nothing like that. Rollover is what happens when you actually roll over that button. Mouse down is what happens when you actually click it. So when you click it, it can give a different color. And active is if you've been there before. Now, I'm not a big fan of the active one, and I typically use it leave it to whatever my normal is. You can also transition it and fade out. I usually don't mess with this one. All right, so in order to select a specific menu like Overview, you click once on the menu and then click again. So if I'm clicked off of it, I click once, it selects the whole menu. Click again, it will select overview. Now notice it says overview here. So normal state's the way I want it. Roll over, let's change it to red. So to do that, we click on our type. We go up under the color area here, and we're going to change it to one of these colors. I'm going to say if you roll over it, you're going to be red. And mouse down, just for fun, let's make mouse down an orange. Okay, and active I tend to leave alone. So you want to do that for your other menus as well. Okay, so I wonder, let's try this. Yeah, states does not work when the whole thing is selected. You have to actually select down. So normal, roll over, get the text tool. Our rollover's red. Our mouse down is this orange here. Okay, go back and do the same thing with projects, about, and contact. Okay, and once it's done, let's hit preview. See how overview and clients, how they all light up. If I click on client work, it literally clicks on it. So overview. Now notice it's not changing because I clicked on it. We are actually on that website right now, and that's kind of cool. So we could change the active state to something different to say, hey, I'm on that page. So let's go back in here and let's go to overview, and let's say the active state is, oh, I don't know. Let's click on text. Let's look at it and see what we can do. Let's make it 14 point for active and make it gray. So it gets bigger and it's active. So let's do the same thing for this. For active, let's go to type, 14 point, and gray. Let's pick that gray again. All right, so let's check that out. Let's go to preview. Let's click on client work. Notice how it's now big and gray. Click on overview. Notice how it's now big and gray. It's kind of neat. Okay, so that's one way that you can, hype up your menu and make it look a little better. So let's go ahead and close that. So we've been able to preview it. One of the other things that I need to do, I'm going to click on the logo. I'm going to go up to hyperlinks, and I'm going to tell it to go to overview, which is my homepage. So that way when somebody clicks on the logo, it'll go straight to overview. So now we have our nice menu set up and everything works great. All right. So now that we've got our menu in place, let's copy this menu. So let's select all of this menu. Let's hold down the Option key and let's drag it to the bottom, because I'd like to have the menu at the bottom too. Now, one of the cool things about this is these are containers. So if I just click on it, I've got the container. If I double click on it, I have what's inside the container. So if I click on the container, it allows me to resize it just like that. But if I click on my crop tool, I can push it in and just crop out the areas that I don't want. So zoom in a little bit and keep cropping till you get to where you don't want. There we go. All right, so now I have my little logo. So let me zoom back out. Let's go down into the footer area. Let's use the pointer tool. Select the menu. Let's move it to the bottom. Now watch my little guides. My little guides pop up. When I get to the center, it's going to tell me, see that guide that says you are centered. And I'm going to grab my little logo and I'm going to bring it to till it tells me I'm centered. A little bit more. There we go. And if I hold down Shift and Option, it's going to scale it down. in the center. And see how that didn't work? I may have to undo and scale it down manually. Try to hold that shift key down and then move it so it's nice and at the bottom. Then I'm going to move my footer down. Now here's the next thing that you need to do is select it all. Up at the top right, make sure that that check mark is on that says this is the footer. Okay, and go up to the top and let's make sure that these don't say it. They do not. There you go. All right, so now we have the footer in place, so no matter where you move it to, it works great. All right, from here, we're going to create new layers. The layers are important. It keeps you on track. So I'm going to name this one footer. I'm going to make two other ones. One I'm going to call top nav. And we'll make another one in between those two just so I know where it's at. And I'm going to call it page. Okay, now what I'm going to do is all this is already in the footer. So I'm going to take my top menu and notice how here I've got this little blue handle. I can drag that handle up and drop it, and I've now moved the top menu up to top nav. So see, I can hide and show. Well, once I get my top nav and footer in place, I want to lock those. And when I lock down the layers, it keeps it from moving around. Okay, so let's go back to let's close our master. And if we notice, the master is now on all of them. So let's go to overview and we can get started populating our pages. So once we have this up, now we can go and place images, place text. Only going to show a couple of things here. One, resolution independent and resolution dependent. Resolution independent is Illustrator and vector files. Resolution dependent is Photoshop files. So try not to blow up a Photoshop file bigger than its normal size. Okay, one of the things that is really cool that I like to do is place a background image. So I'm going to place an image. Now notice I have this icon here. That means that I'm not on a correct layer. So I'm going to go on my page layer. Now I can draw it. So I've got a container here. Okay, I want to hold on to that container. Make sure that it's the rectangle tool and not the rectangle frame tool. I'm going to place an image and I'm going to do Brian and me in the t-shirt. Wow, we look cool. Look at that hair. It's awesome. I'm actually going to cut that. I'm going to click on my container and I'm going to paste this background image. And this is where things get really cool. I'm going to go up under fill and I'm going to click on the fill. And I'm going to set some stuff here. Original size is fine, but I want to scale to fill. So it will fill this container. I'm also going to get really cool with it. I'm going to bring this to the edge and I'm just going to drag this edge over to the edge and then maybe bring this down a little bit. Okay. Now, with this selected, I'm going to go up under Resize, Stretch to Browser Width. What does that do? Well, up under File, we can take a look. Okay, I've got Preview Page in Browser or Preview Site in Browser. Let's just preview the page for now. So I'm going to click that, and what it's going to do, it's going to export the page, and it's going to load it for me. So here's my page. You see Brian's big face there. But watch, as I move it, it keeps the height, but scales that background to the width. Really cool. Okay. This URL, I can also copy and paste it into Safari. Right now I'm in Chrome, Safari, or any other browser and test it there too. But notice this is localhost. That means you are local. All right. So with that in place, real easy, really awesome. I can now mess around with it some more. So go up under the fill again and let's look at positions. This is a centered position. This is a top centered position. So you can play with the position to get it to where you want it. Let's say I want to make this narrower. Well, I can go up under and play with this position until I get it the way I want it. Okay, and it may not ever work exactly the way you want it, so you'll have to mess with some scale to fit, scale to fill, original size, maybe tile it, tile horizontally, tile vertically. You can play with all of these things. But if you have a nice background image, scale to fill will work great. You can change the opacity, drop it down some so it's not as in your face. You can even set a color on it so you can change the whole color of the image. So let's go back. Let's put this right in the middle and go from there. Okay, with that in place, what we're going to do is we're going to put some type over it. Now again, we can mess with the sizes here and play around with it and everything. So the nice thing about this is we can put type wherever we want. Let's throw some type here. Okay, and by having it set as a background image, we can type right over it. And this is just plain type, but I can select it and make all the changes in the world to it. You know, I've got Arial. I can make it bigger, smaller. I can make it bold. Okay, I can make it italic, just like that. I can come down here. I can place this on the right and make it bold. And I can make it bigger, smaller, whatever size I need. I am holding the Shift command and greater than, less than sign to resize it. I can change the color of it to whatever color I'm looking for. That looks horrible, but you get the idea. I can change colors. I can do all kinds of tweaking to the text. It's very, very nice. So a lot of stuff that you can do with it. You can even add paragraph styles and more. So really cool, really neat, allowing you to place everything in. Let me select all and I'm going to delete. And I'm going to show you one other aspect of imagery. So I can place an image. Let's do Brian and myself again. I'm going to throw it in here. Now, this comes in a frame. So it's in a frame. If I double click on it, I can blow up what's in that frame and just have me. I can resize the frame like this just by resizing. Hit the crop mark and I can pull the stuff in that I've deleted. So a lot of power in this program. And this is just the tip of the iceberg.